Welcome to History with Bella and Layla, the podcast where we tell true stories that are so unbelievable they sound made up.
Today's episode is about a 6-year-old who was braver than most adults.
Seriously, at 6 years old, I was scared of the dark. I still am.
At 6, I cried because my sandwiches were cut into triangles instead of squares.
But Ruby Bridges, she walked through angry crowds and changed American history.
No pressure, first graders. So, who was Ruby Bridges?
Ruby Bridges was born in 1954 in Tylertown, Mississippi.
Wasn't that also the same year as the Supreme Court case Brown v. Board of Education?
Yes, it declared segregation schools unconstitutional, which basically just meant that separating students by race was illegal. But just because something becomes illegal doesn't mean that people immediately follow the rules.
Yeah, if that were true, nobody would ever speed.
So her family later moved to New Orleans, Louisiana to seek better opportunities. It was here when Ruby passed a test that was meant to keep her out of white schools. And her parents made the brave decision to send her into the storm of protest and discrimination.
So, that's actually really crazy.
So, can you tell me about the big day?
Yes, of course. So basically, on November 14, 1960, Ruby Bridges attended her first day at William Frantz Elementary School. She became the first black student ever to integrate an all-white school.
I bet people were not happy with that.
Happy? That is an understatement of the century. Angry protesters surrounded the school, yelling and holding signs. These contained probably the most horrific things you could say or wish upon a person. In fact, they would bring a small coffin with a black doll inside.
Wow. That is absolutely evil.
Imagine being 6 years old and hearing 2, 4, 6, 8, we don't want to integrate, all while you're just trying to learn.
That is crazy.
Because of the massive amount of threats, Ruby had to be escorted to school by 4 U.S. Marshals every single day. These 4 escorts were directly appointed by the U.S. president. On the first day, the federal marshals gave her specific instructions to walk straight ahead and to not look back.
Dang, that is wild. While most kids were carrying crayons, Ruby had bodyguards.
Yeah, once Ruby had entered on the first day, she was escorted into the principal's office. It was then that the big angry mob outside then rushed into the school. Parents ran into every class to grab their children. Every last one of the children were taken out that day. For a whole year, she was the only student in her classroom because the white parents refused to send their children to school with her.
Oh my goodness. So that basically means Ruby got private education before it was school.
Yeah, practically.
In fact, many teachers quit since they refused to teach a black student. However, there was one teacher, Barbara Henry, who agreed to teach Ruby. She taught Ruby as if she was any other student.
Which is exactly how it should have been. She loved her as her own daughter.
She said it herself, I was everything to Ruby all day long. She taught her art, music, gym, math, reading. Not one teacher ever stepped foot in that class.
Sometimes being heroic is as simple as doing the right thing when others won't. So, why does Ruby Bridge matter?
Ruby Bridges showed incredible courage. Even though she was just a child, her actions helped push the civil rights movement forward.
Her story proved that children can make a huge difference, while also highlighting how unfair segregation truly was.
The civil rights movement included leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and many ordinary people.
And one extraordinary first grader.
Where's Ruby today?
While many people may think that this happened decades ago, it in fact only took place 66 years ago, meaning that Ruby Bridges is still alive. She's in fact younger than Donald Trump is today. She continues to speak about equality and education.
She even created the Ruby Bridges Foundation to promote tolerance and respect. So basically, she never stopped being awesome.
She is also very active on social media. I think I even saw her on TikTok once.
Me too.
Fun fact, there's actually a famous painting illustrating her bravery as she walked into the school with federal marshals, forever immortalizing the history she made. It is called The Problem We All Live With by Norman Rockwell.
Ruby Bridges teaches us that courage doesn't depend on age. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one carrying the backpack.
And maybe a lunchbox.
And definitely more brave than most grown-ups.
Ruby didn't just walk into school. She walked into history.
Wow, that is crazy. Can you imagine doing that at 6 years old?
I could never. I can't even remember what I was doing at 6.
Me neither. I just barely remember learning how to tie my shoes. Thanks for listening to History with Layla and Bella. Make sure to follow us to stay updated for the next video.
If you enjoyed this episode, remember, one small step can create a huge change. Don't follow the path. Go where there is no path and begin the trail. When you start a new trail equipped with courage, strength, and conviction, the only thing that can stop you is you. Ruby Bridges. See you next time! Six, seven.
Segregated. Okay. Yeah.
Go, Chris, go. No, we're not. We're locked in. We're locked in. Okay.
Music, math, gym, math, reading, and not one teacher ever set foot in her class.
Down. I was said down.
Oh my god, there's a hair.
Wait, is this me?
Are you guys taking a break?
We're almost done.
No, I need to just grab ice.
She spilled water, guys.
Like, wow, that is crazy.
If it's bad, we'll just do it again. And we'll eat and then we'll do it again.
Okay, we're gonna blend. Hold on.
Don't mind the background.
Shh, let's see if we can still hear us with the background. Wait. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me and see me?
Can you hear me? See me? Can you hear me?
Stories. Okay, no.
Yeah, we're cooked.
Welcome to. Wait, can we? Okay, sorry.
Oh my god.
Welcome to History with Bella and Layla. Okay, the podcast where we tell true stories that are so unbelievable they sound made. Okay. Welcome to History with Bella and Layla. So we're. Okay, the podcast where we tell true.
Wait, wasn't that also the same year as the Supreme?
That's just Tyler's word. Okay, we could just start from here.
Okay, go.
Oh no, you say it. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Illegal doesn't mean that people immediately follow the rules.
Start over.